Hey everyone, welcome back! Today we're diving into Archero 2, and if you're a fan of the first game, you'll notice there are a few changes. It's not exactly the same as before, which means you'll need to come up with some fresh strategies and new builds to dominate those levels. But don't worry, we've got you covered. We've tested everything for you so you can skip the trial and error. In this video, we'll break down the best skills you'll want to focus on to make your journey through Archero 2 a lot easier. So, let's get into it. Whether you're just starting out or you're a seasoned pro, knowing which skills are the best is key to surviving those intense battles. Some skills are absolute game changers, and we're going to explain why they're so important and how they'll make a big difference in your playstyle. Stick around as we go through each one and get you set up to take on whatever the game throws at you. Let's get started. I'm quickly moving on to the video, and I'm ranking skills in Archero 2. Before we start, if you enjoy these types of tier list videos, don't forget to like the video and subscribe. Enjoy watching!
My friends, only 0.1% of viewers subscribe. If you like this type of content, please do not forget to subscribe to the channel. Thank you in advance for your support.
The skills in this tier are, in order from top left to bottom right: Wall Piercing Arrow, Slow Field, Aqua Flight, Charged Arrow, Strength Blood, Venom Circle, Wounded Warrior, Long Range Power, Riposte Strike, and Burning Path. Let's talk about some skills in Archero 2 that might not necessarily be the go-to picks for top-tier builds, but hey, they have their quirks. These skills are in the D tier, meaning they might not be your first choice, but you can still have some fun experimenting with them. Don't write them off completely just yet. Sometimes a fun twist is all you need to spice up your gameplay. First up, we have Wall Piercing Arrow. Now, this sounds super cool, right? Who doesn't want their arrows to fly through obstacles like a boss? While it sounds like a game changer, it often ends up being more situational than you'd expect. The ability to pierce walls could be useful in specific scenarios, but you might find yourself wishing for something with a little more punch in those intense boss fights or swarming monster moments. Then there's Slow Field. Imagine being able to slow down projectiles and monsters around you. Sounds strategic, right? Well, in practice, it's not as useful as you'd think. Slowing down enemies can be helpful for avoiding incoming attacks, but it doesn't exactly have the power to turn the tide of a tough fight. It's more of a mild inconvenience for your enemies than a game-changing advantage. Moving on to something a bit more fun: Aqua Flight. This skill lets you walk on water and boosts your movement speed, which is pretty rad, right? While it does make you feel like you're floating above the chaos, the boost in movement speed isn't always enough to make a huge difference. It's a cool trick to pull off, but in the grand scheme of things, it's a bit underwhelming when you compare it to other mobility skills. Next up, we've got Charged Arrow. Now this one sounds pretty intense. You hold down to charge up a giant arrow for a big attack. The problem? It takes a little too long to charge, and by the time you release, you're either taking a hit or the enemies are already too spread out. It has its moments, but in fast-paced combat, you might find yourself wishing for something that delivers quicker damage. Let's talk about Strength Blood for a second. You get a boost in max HP, awesome, right? Who doesn't want to tank a little bit more damage? While this can definitely help you last a little longer in some situations, it's not exactly the game changer you might think. There are other skills that offer more impactful ways to stay alive, like healing abilities or shields, which make Strength Blood feel more like a safety net than a game-defining skill. And here's a fun one: Venom Circle. This skill gives you 2 venom orbs that circle around you, dealing damage. Sounds kind of cool, right? Well, it's fun at first, but you'll quickly notice that the damage from these orbs isn't going to carry you through the tougher stages. The idea of venom is great, but in practice, it's not as reliable as some of the other debuffing or damage-dealing skills out there. Wounded Warrior is an interesting one. It increases your attack power significantly when you're damaged, but only for 5 seconds. Sounds like a high-risk, high-reward kind of deal, right? In theory, this could turn the tides of a battle, but in practice, you often find yourself needing a bit more than just a brief burst of power. Plus, you've got to be in danger to make it work, and that's not always the best strategy. Lastly, we've got Long Range Power, which increases the damage of your projectiles the further away they are. While it's neat to think about, the reality is that hitting enemies from a distance is all well and good, but the closer range combat can be just as intense. The added damage might not be enough to make this a must-have skill, especially when other abilities do more to improve your overall damage output. So, there you have it, some of the skills from the D tier in Archero 2. They're fun to experiment with, but when it comes to building a strong character, you might want to stick with something that packs a little more punch. The skills in this tier are in order from top left to bottom right: Energy Ring, Lucky Heart, Circling Orbs Boost, Fountain of Life, Heart of Vitality, Lucky Band-Aid, Frenzy Potion, Thunder Circle, Fairy's Breath, Breath of the Wind, Venom Meteor Potion, Demon Recovery, and Vampiric Circle. Alright, let's get into some of the skills in Archero 2 that are, well, let's just say they're a bit meh. You know, the kind of abilities that aren't the worst, but you probably won't go out of your way to grab them. But hey, we all need a little filler in our lives, right? First up, we have Energy Ring. It sounds cool, like you're about to unleash an epic wave of destruction, but honestly, it's more like a little ping of energy. You charge up for a while and whoosh, out comes the ring. It's not terrible, but compared to some of the more impactful skills, this one just doesn't have the same punch. Next on the list is Lucky Heart. Now, this one's kind of fun because it's all about that luck factor. When you pick up hearts, you've got a chance to increase your max HP. It's a little hit or miss, no pun intended, but hey, we all love a good chance for an upgrade, right? It's not game-changing, but it can keep you hanging on in those tough spots. Then, there's Circling Orbs Boost. This one's a bit of a roller coaster. Sure, boosting the damage of circling orbs is nice, but the fact is, orbs can be a bit unpredictable at times. So while this can help, it's really just a slight damage buff. It's like adding a bit more spice to your favorite dish. Nice, but not the main reason you're there. And how about Fountain of Life? This one's got a bit of a dramatic flair. Max HP increase, and you fully heal upon picking up a health item. If you're lucky enough to get it, it can be a lifesaver. But honestly, it's kinda hit or miss since you need those health pickups, and those don't always come when you need them most. Still, when it works, it feels pretty satisfying. Heart of Vitality is kind of the cousin of the Fountain of Life, but with a twist. It boosts your max HP and increases the healing you get from red hearts. It's great for those who like to keep their health topped off, but again, you're a bit reliant on those red hearts dropping. It's a solid choice, but not exactly a game changer. Here's an interesting one: Lucky Band-Aid. This one's got some weirdly fun energy. It boosts your luck, and when you pick it up, you deal damage to all the enemies on screen and clear enemy projectiles. Now that's a pretty cool perk. It's definitely not a top-tier skill, but when it triggers, it can make a huge difference in clearing out a bunch of enemies and making your life easier. And last but not least, let's talk about Frenzy Potion. You pick this one up and boom, your attack speed goes through the roof, and so does your critical hit rate. You get a nice little burst of power for a short period. It's a fun skill to use when you're looking to dish out some serious damage, but it's not something you can rely on forever. Still, when it works, it makes you feel like an unstoppable force for a while. So yeah, these skills aren't exactly what you'd call top tier, but they definitely have their moments. They might not be the flashiest or the strongest, but sometimes you just need a little something extra to get you through the waves of enemies. Would you take them over something like Vampiric Circle or Thunder Circle? Probably not, but hey, they're not completely useless either. The skills in this tier are, in order from top left to bottom right: ATK Increase, Weapon Enchantment, Super Flame, Super Venom, Super Lightning, Super Frost, Short Range Strike, Lucky Cracker, Angelic Shelter, Ricocheting Arrow, Venom, Warrior's Heart, Abundant Potion, Underworld Warrior, Piercing Arrow, Cloud-Footed, Blitz Strike, Bomb Sprite, Flame Meteor Potion, Venom Sprite, Ice Circle, Warrior's Breath, Backward Arrow, Thunder Circle, Lightning Meteor Potion, and Restore HP. Alright, let's dive into some of the more interesting B-tier skills in Archero 2. Now, before you start thinking B-tier means meh, hold your horses. These skills are actually super solid when you need that little extra push to keep things going, especially if you're not quite rocking those A-tier abilities yet. Let's start with ATK Increase, which is pretty self-explanatory but still super useful. If you're looking for that extra bit of firepower, this is your go-to. It's like having a little turbo boost for your attacks. Pair it with Short Range Strike, and you've got yourself a power combo. Sure, your attack range and speed get a bit of a hit, but the upside is huge power and speed boosts. It's all about risk versus reward here. Speaking of attacks, let's talk about Ricocheting Arrow. This one's a personal favorite of mine. Imagine firing an arrow that doesn't just hit one enemy but bounces around like a pinball, hitting multiple targets. If you've got a bunch of enemies clustered together, this skill can absolutely tear through them. And if you want to take it up a notch, try Piercing Arrow. Now, your arrows don't just bounce. They go straight through enemies, hitting everything in their path. It's like your arrows are on a mission, and nothing's going to stop them. Now, let's get into some elemental fun. Super Flame, Super Venom, Super Lightning, and Super Frost all take their respective elements to the next level. Whether you're dealing with fire, poison, lightning, or ice, these effects are greatly enhanced. Want to burn your enemies to a crisp with even more fiery fury? Go for Super Flame. Or maybe you want to make sure enemies can't escape with a lightning-fast jolt of damage. Super. Lightning's got your back. Another cool one is Lucky Cracker, which boosts your luck and dodge rate. It's not just about attacking. Sometimes you need to dodge those incoming hits, and this skill helps you do just that. Plus, who doesn't love a little extra luck on their side when you're battling it out with bosses or random mobs? For those who love a good boost in survivability, Angelic Shelter is a great option. You get extra health, and if you take a hit, you'll get a brief period of invincibility. It's like having a little guardian angel watching over you in the heat of battle. If you're feeling extra daring, try pairing this with Warrior's Heart. Every time you pick up a heart, it boosts your attack power. The more hearts you grab, the stronger you get. Blitz Strike is another fun skill. It summons 5 strike swords with each wave, and let me tell you, those swords are ready to slice through anything in their way. If you want even more chaos, pick up Bomb Sprite or Venom Sprite for some added explosive or poison damage. These little guys can really mess up your enemy's day. And finally, let's talk about Cloud-Footed. If you love moving fast, this one's for you. It increases your movement speed and lets you unleash gusts of wind that push back and damage enemies. It's a perfect skill for those who like to stay mobile while causing havoc from a distance. So yeah, B-tier skills in Archero 2 may not be the absolute best, but they're definitely solid. These skills can totally turn the tide of a battle if you know how to use them. Whether it's extra damage, elemental effects, or some fun movement boosts, there's a lot of potential here. And let's be honest, who doesn't love playing around with different combos to find what works best for your playstyle? The skills in this tier are, in order from top left to bottom right: Rotating Web, Energy Beam, Giant Strength, Meteor Pursuit, Wind Blessing, Circling Laser Orb, Super Circle, Instant Strike, Sprite Boost, Split Shot, Perilous Fervor, Fairy of the Wind, Flame, Lightning Sprite, Bouncing Arrow, Demon Slaying Meteor, Frost Meteor Potion, and Flame Sprite. Alright, so let's talk about some of the absolute powerhouse skills in Archero 2. These abilities are the ones that can really take your gameplay to the next level if used properly. Trust me, if you get these in your arsenal, you'll be mowing through enemies like it's nothing. First up, we've got Rotating Web. Now, this one's a real game changer. Imagine orbs that just keep circling around you, forming a protective web. It's like you've got your own personal shield that also deals damage. It's perfect for those chaotic situations where you're surrounded and need a bit of breathing room. The webs deal damage while you focus on dodging and taking down enemies. Super handy. Then, we've got the Energy Beam. Oh, this one's just pure power. You charge it up, and once it's fully charged, you get this insane laser that just penetrates through everything in its path. Enemies, walls, you name it. If you're looking for a way to wipe out a huge group of enemies with one shot, this is it. It's like a sci-fi dream come true. Now, let's talk about Giant Strength. If you love being a tank, this one is for you. It boosts your max HP, attack power, and even size, meaning you get bigger, stronger, and tankier. Sure, your movement speed might take a hit, but when you're this beefed up, who cares? You're basically a walking fortress, and that's something to be feared. Meteor Pursuit is up next, and it's a blast. Literally. Whenever you attack, there's a chance you'll summon a meteor to drop down and crush your enemies. It adds that extra layer of chaos to your attacks, and the explosions, oh, they're just the cherry on top. If you like watching the world burn, this skill is for you. Let's not forget Wind Blessing. If speed is your thing, this skill boosts your movement speed and helps you dodge like a pro. Plus, it shrinks your size a bit, making you harder to hit. It's perfect for those who love to zip around the map, avoiding damage while dealing some of their own. Who wouldn't want to feel like a wind-blown blur of destruction? Then, we've got the Circling Laser Orb. 2 laser orbs that just circle around you? Heck yes, these orbs are a constant source of damage, firing lasers all around you while you focus on dodging. They're not just cool to look at, they're effective. You're basically walking around with your own laser show, zapping enemies left and right. Super Circle is up next, and if you like non-elemental power, this is a must-have. You get 4 powerful neutral orbs that attack your enemies. They're not tied to any element, so they're versatile and can be used in almost any situation. You don't need to worry about matching them to any specific enemy weaknesses, just throw them out and watch the destruction unfold. Finally, let's talk about Instant Strike. This one's insane. You summon a sword that strikes once every second. The more you've got, the more swords you have, and the more damage you deal. It's like being surrounded by a literal army of swords that hit with precision and power. Your enemies won't know what hit them. These skills, they're just the tip of the iceberg. Each one brings something unique to the table, whether it's extra damage, protection, or speed. If you can master these, Archero 2 will become a breeze. The skills in this tier are, in order from top left to bottom right: Corrosive Field, Super Meteor, Soul of Strength, Warrior's Soul, Diagonal Arrows, Sprite Frenzy, Strike Boost, Enchanted Strike, Frost, Bolt, Stand Strong, Swift Arrow, Demon Slayer, Invincibility Potion, Lightwing Arrow, Strike Potion, Assault Strike, Ice Spike Sprite, and Bane of Bosses. Alright, so let's dive into some of the absolute game changers you can unlock in Archero 2. And trust me, these skills will make you feel like you're playing on easy mode. Forget about the grind. We're talking about power moves that turn the tide of battle in your favor every single time. First up, we've got Corrosive Field. If you love seeing your enemies squirm, this one's for you. Nearby monsters will not only take damage, but they'll also become vulnerable. Picture it. You're just hanging out in the middle of a swarm of enemies, and they're all slowly dying while you sit back and sip your victory smoothie. It's honestly that good. Next, there's Super Meteor, a skill that sounds as epic as it actually is. Meteors start falling from the sky, and not only do they deal huge damage, but they also release shockwaves that make your enemies go, "Oh no, not again." It's like calling in a meteor shower that turns into a total boss move, wreaking havoc on the battlefield. Now, if you're the type of player who likes to get super tanky and unkillable, then Soul of Strength is your new best friend. You'll see your max HP skyrocket, and you'll just be unfazed as you bulldoze through mobs. It's the kind of passive upgrade that makes you feel like the game is finally treating you like the beast you are. Want to hit harder? Of course you do. Enter Warrior's Soul. This one's like an instant ATK PWR boost, making sure that every swing feels like a wrecking ball slamming into your enemies. It's one of those skills you'll grab and never look back. Then we have Diagonal Arrows, and honestly, this is a sneaky good one. It adds 2 extra bullets that shoot diagonally. If you're someone who loves to spread the damage around and hit multiple enemies at once, this skill is a perfect fit. You'll be mowing down crowds before they even know what hit them. Ever wish you could just buff your sprites and send them into battle like an army of tiny warriors? Well, Sprite Frenzy is going to make that wish come true. It boosts both ATK PWR and ATK SPD of all your sprites. They'll be practically flying around the screen, dishing out damage faster than you can blink. And don't even get me started on Strike Boost. Strike ATK goes up massively, meaning that the next time you trigger a strike, you're going to see those damage numbers hit a whole new level. Pair that with some other skills, and you've got a strike-fueled rampage that'll leave your enemies in the dust. Let's wrap up with a special mention for Bane of Bosses. When you're up against those beefy bosses, this skill is an absolute lifesaver. It cranks up your damage dealt to bosses and even fully heals you before those tough boss battles. Think of it as your boss fight insurance. You'll go in fully charged and ready to take down the big guys. So whether you're leveling up to become a tank, a damage dealer, or a sprite summoning master, these S-tier skills are exactly what you need to make your journey through Archero 2 one for the ages. They're game changers, they're fun, and they make you feel unstoppable. What's not to love? The skills in this tier are, in order from top left to bottom right: Rapid Fire, Sacred Protection, Sprite King, Beam Strike, Power Trio, Revive, Tracking Eye, Soul of Swiftness, Rapid Fire Meteors, Double Strike Swords, Laser Sprite, Front Arrow, and Pursuit Strike. Alright, let's dive straight into it. If you're playing Archero 2, then you know how important it is to make the most of your skills. And trust me, today's list is going to change the way you think about your setup. We're talking about the absolute game changers, the S+ tier skills. These are the skills that aren't just useful, they're legendary. First up, we've got Rapid Fire, and oh boy, this one's a powerhouse. It doesn't just add another arrow to your arsenal, it changes the way you approach combat. Imagine having that extra shot flying out, hitting enemies faster and with more precision. And then, boom, you add multi-shot count +1 on top of that. You'll feel like a literal bullet storm. Enemies won't know what hit them. Now, let's talk about Sacred Protection. This one's an absolute lifesaver. We've all been there, right? That one hit you just didn't see coming, and bam, you're down. But with Sacred Protection, you've got a shield that blocks 1 hit per wave. 1. It's like getting an extra life in every wave. Having that protection just gives you a little more breathing room. and we could all use that, especially when things get intense. Then there's Sprite King. Hold on to your hats, folks, because this one is something else. When you receive a powerful Sprite King, things get crazy in the best way possible. It's not just a cute little helper, it's a force to be reckoned with, backing you up in battles like a true ally. A Sprite King by your side is basically like having a mini boss fight on your team. Next up, let's talk about Power Trio. Max HP, attack speed, and attack power all getting massive boosts. That's basically turning you into an unstoppable juggernaut. Your stats will be through the roof, and suddenly you're not just surviving the waves, you're mowing them down. And I mean, who doesn't want to feel like an absolute powerhouse on the battlefield? Now, Revive. This skill is so clutch. Imagine you're down to your last few hearts and BAM! You die. But wait, you've got that one-time full HP revival, and just like that, you're back in the game. It's the ultimate comeback skill, giving you a second chance to go all out and finish what you started. Talk about a game changer, right? I could go on all day about these skills, but trust me, the Tracking Eye and Soul of Swiftness will make you feel like you're playing a whole new game. Tracking Eye lets your projectiles follow enemies like a bloodhound, while Soul of Swiftness cranks up your attack speed and movement speed to insane levels. Imagine dodging attacks and unleashing rapid-fire damage in a flash. It's like you're everywhere at once. And if that's not enough for you, there's rapid-fire meteors. Double the chance of meteors falling from the sky? Yes, please! It's like having a meteor shower every time you attack. And the best part? You can double up your strike swords too, making those laser beams rain down on enemies like there's no tomorrow. These skills are the ultimate combo, turning you into a destruction machine that's practically impossible to stop. So yeah, that's your S+ tier skills in a nutshell. They're game changers, they're legends in the making, and they'll make your Archero 2 experience absolutely wild. Whether you're going for speed, power, or survivability, these skills are the way to go. Get ready to bring the heat, because with these in your arsenal, you're set to dominate the battlefield like never before. The video ends here. See you in another video. Don't forget to subscribe.